Good. This afternoon. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming today. We're here to talk about a trending crime that puts innocent bystanders at risk, impacts consumers who are forced to pay higher prices of goods due to financial losses sustained by businesses. And this is organized retail theft. We chose this location today in Philadelphia metropolitan area because organized retail theft has impacted this area perhaps more than any other region in the Commonwealth. And that's due to the number of retail establishments here, large box stores, high-end retailers, and the traffic at those stores. 1 year ago, the Office of Attorney General launched its Organized Retail Crime Unit, and that was July 1st, 2024, to be exact. I want to share with you what that unit has accomplished, what type of criminal enterprises we are encountering and their behaviors, and what we have planned moving forward. In a year's time, this unit built a network of collaborating partners and resources to combat this highly profitable and potentially dangerous crime. We've built partnerships with law enforcement agencies, community and legislative leaders, and some of the stores and businesses that are often targeted. We will talk about investigative work that has resulted in dozens of arrests and the recovery of millions of dollars in stolen goods and some example cases from this region. But before I get there, I want to discuss what prompted the formation of our Organized Retail Crime Unit. First, I want to commend the legislature for realizing that this violent behavior was on the rise and that Pennsylvanians were being put at risk by simply going to their favorite stores to purchase clothing, electronics, and other goods. Act 42 of 2023 facilitated the creation of the Office of Attorney General's Organized Retail Crime Unit. In preparation for the statute taking effect on July 1st of 2024, we hired 10 special agents and 5 prosecutors, and they were deployed all throughout Pennsylvania. As law enforcement, we must adapt to trends in order to keep up with criminals who put communities at risk. And that is what this unit is all about. For years, the perception of hearing retail theft was shoplifting, but it has become much more complex. As I said before, even dangerous. Also, the Pennsylvania legislature increased the grading of organized retail theft, making the crime a felony of the first degree if the value of the goods stolen exceeds $50,000. That statute gave police and prosecutors a large hammer in the tool chest to target these violent groups of thieves. And they are violent. I said earlier that these thieves prefer locations with other shoppers, distractions while they commit their crimes. The thieves also understand that retailers instruct their employees to avoid physical confrontations in an effort to keep their employees safe. Criminal organizations exploit this by sending thieves into retail establishments knowing that they will meet little resistance, particularly here in southeastern Pennsylvania. This is very concerning to law enforcement because each and every innocent bystander, employees and shoppers, could be potentially victims of any violent act that results from the thieves doing whatever it takes to steal as many items and as fast as possible, and of course get away without being stopped. To be clear, when we talk about organized retail theft, we are not talking about someone snatching a pack of Duracell batteries and tucking them into a coat pocket. These are often swarm-style thefts with groups of individuals who invade a store and move as quickly as they can to steal as much as they can. They are fully prepared for physical confrontation with store staff or bystanders shopping in the store. And we have seen violence in these incidents both here in Pennsylvania and nationwide. These are traumatic events for shoppers who include seniors, families, and children who are unfortunate enough to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. By design, these groups are menacing, imposing, fitted to scare anyone who could potentially stand in their way. What did we do to combat this? Local police respond to the stores as they always have with retail crimes. From our perspective, the Organized Retail Crime Unit is focused on the larger scale, more sophisticated criminal enterprises. Not unlike how we approach drug trafficking our focus is on the top of the chain. Without revealing too much about our tactics, we develop intel on these groups and in many cases track their movements and MO. And that involves collaboration with police agencies, local and state agencies, because these crimes often cross municipal, county, and state borders. At the right time, we make our move, the goal being to have enough evidence to charge the leaders of these enterprises and as many of their accomplices as possible. And we have had much success with this approach. We have opened more than 65 investigations of these organized retail crime enterprises. We have charged more than 40 people. We have been able to recover approximately nearly $2 million in stolen goods. Keep in mind that that's just what we recover. The proceeds of these organizations are much more, because these organizations target high-dollar items, smartphones and other expensive electronics, premium clothing brands, small appliances from home improvement retail chains, and gift cards. These items have significant price tags. They would also be desirable on the secondary market because these crews are rarely stealing these items to keep them. They are looking to sell the items that they're stealing for cash. We are seeing that these criminal organizations are oftentimes sending the stolen goods overseas to places and countries where the goods have significantly more value than they do here in the United States. And we often intervene in these enterprises when the goods are fenced to a buyer. Many of these organizations are physically going into stores and stealing items. Some are more sophisticated than others. We've seen thieves exploiting store return and exchange policies, altering receipts, manipulating gift card balances, and also identity theft and bank fraud. We've also been involved in investigations with thieves stealing or hijacking tractor trailers and trucks hauling goods, and the thieves commandeering those goods. Before I close my comments, let me offer you a couple of recent examples. Earlier this month, we charged members of the 5th Street Crew. The 5th Street Crew committed approximately 49 retail theft robbery incidents at multiple retailers, including Snipes, Lululemon, Nike, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Kohl's. These crimes happened in Montgomery, Philadelphia, Bucks counties, and in New Jersey from February of 2024 through May of 2025. Their MO: a suspect and 3 to 5 other males enter a store. They select the merchandise and they flee the store without paying. In at least one incident, members of the 5th Street Crew viciously assaulted an employee at a Snipes store in Philadelphia when he attempted to stop the theft. The largest enterprise we have taken down, we titled Operation Philly Flowers. The Philly Flowers operated in and around the southeastern Pennsylvania area. The Office of Attorney General worked with the Pennsylvania State Police and TJX Company's loss prevention officers to identify over 50 members of this organization who were engaging in a theft and fraudulent return scheme at TJ Maxx and home goods stores from July of 2022 through May of 2024. The amount stolen by this organization is over $850,000. And once we get to court with these cases, we are taking advantage of the increased felony gradings, and we have gotten some significant prison sentences as a result. We feel strongly that those sentences are stopping the respective organizations. We also feel that these sentences can have a deterring effect. I said earlier, the shoplifting perception really needs to be erased when it comes to these pack-style swarm thefts. If you participate in this behavior, you will be held accountable. Our network continues to expand. We have multiple investigations with our partners, not only throughout Pennsylvania, but also in New Jersey. And this is very important. I want to give very special thanks to the continued collaboration to the Philadelphia Police Department, the Pennsylvania State Police, Lower Merion Police, Upper Merion Police, the district attorneys throughout Southeast Pennsylvania, and President Baloga and the PA Food Merchants Association, an association which from the start recognized the need for greater protections for retail locations. And every single one of you are truly valued partners. We have several active investigations that I obviously cannot discuss today, but we will keep you informed when we have takedowns and arrests, which we will. Our methods are advancing as well. We're using GPS technology to track stolen goods to the destination where the goods are fenced, and are increasingly using AI translation technology to stop foreign actors from committing these crimes right here in Pennsylvania. And I'm about ready to turn this over to Patrick Schulte, the Chief Deputy Attorney General of our Organized Crime Section. But I just want to say again, I want to thank everyone for covering this today. And it is very important for people to recognize that if our communities aren't safe, literally nothing else matters. And citizens have every right to go shop, to go to a store, and to not have to be in the middle of a violent, organized retail theft. And business owners, retailers, have every right to run their business in a safe manner, not only for their employees, but for themselves and the community around them that rely on their goods to be able to provide things like food and appliances and clothing to their families. We in law enforcement take this very seriously, and we will continue to collaborate like we have every single day to do what we can to bring these perpetrators to justice. So with that being said, Patrick.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, General Sunday. And on behalf of the Organized Retail Crime Unit, I thank you for your leadership on this very important issue. When Senator Argyle and the PA legislature sent Act 42 to Governor Shapiro's desk for signature, we had hopes that the Organized Retail Crime Unit would hit the ground running. I'm happy to report that after just 1 year from implementation, the success of the unit has exceeded my wildest expectations. As the General said, we now have 10 special agents and 5 deputy attorneys general dedicated to combating organized retail theft statewide. We have our personnel fanned out in every corner of Pennsylvania and everywhere in between. The agents and attorneys of the unit are specifically trained to tackle these complex cases using our hierarchical approach to these prosecutions by cutting off the supply of stolen goods from the fencing operations that make this crime so profitable. We are excited about our progress, but we recognize that there is much more work to be done. What we have seen since the unit's inception is that the most effective means to build successful organized retail crime cases is to collaborate with our local law enforcement in the communities affected by these criminal organizations. In that vein, we are so thankful that we enjoy such a good working relationship with the Pennsylvania State Police, the district attorneys, and our local law enforcement partners in this initiative. These cases require that law enforcement flood the zone. The criminals are flooding the zone, and we have to match their effort. And we could not do this without the critical assistance of those partners, our law enforcement partners, particularly here in Southeast Pennsylvania. AG Sunday is a firm believer in the collaborative approach to prosecution, and we have found that that mindset is a perfect match to beating back organized retail crime. Now I would like to invite to the podium Sergeant Logan Browse of the Pennsylvania State Police.
Thank you, Chief Deputy Schulte, and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Pennsylvania State Police, I would like to congratulate the Organized Retail Crime Unit on a very successful inaugural year. The Pennsylvania State Police proudly partnered with the Organized Retail Crime Unit on one of its first major investigations, and we look forward to our continued teamwork. In that case, an organized retail theft crew manipulated return policies when they exchanged stolen merchandise for credit, resulting in over $850,000 in losses to stores in southeastern Pennsylvania. This investigation emphasizes the need for organized retail crime unit. Theft schemes have become more sophisticated and losses to stores have become greater. We all pay the price, from higher goods to lower paying retail jobs. The Pennsylvania State Police and the Organized Retail Crime Unit stand united in our commitment to justice, the protection of our communities. Together, we will ensure that the organized retail thieves are identified, apprehended, and held accountable. Thank you, and I would like to now introduce Deputy Commissioner Frank Van Horn from the Philadelphia Police Department.
Thank you. In January 2024, Mayor Parker, upon taking office, gave the Philadelphia Police Department a charge in the form of one of her executive orders to create a plan to reduce the elevated levels of retail theft in Philadelphia. Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel wasted no time in approving the formation of a retail theft group. Now, that group is comprised of police officers, detectives, supervisors, and people from the district attorney's office, as well as the attorney general now has joined the organized level of that. And we get into our retail partners. All the loss prevention people throughout Philadelphia have joined forces with them. Our initial analysis of this problem in Philadelphia was that a very small percentage of people were committing about 74% of our retail thefts in Philadelphia. So we knew we had prolific offenders. We knew we had people that we had to get off the street and make sure there were some consequences for their actions. This group did very well at identifying prolific offenders. This investigation, as the Attorney General said, started in February of 2024. The two officers that really were integral in identifying the individuals who started this and starting the investigation, Officer Drum and Officer Rich are here today. They basically used all their knowledge of the areas that we were in, identified, made arrests, and started to build this case up. We want to thank the Attorney General and everybody, all the retail partners, our law enforcement partners, for helping us in this case. It's working in Philadelphia. We know it is. Retail theft in Philadelphia is down about 13%. That's about 1,300 plus cases. And our arrest rate's over 40% up, and that's over 500 cases. So I want to thank you, and I'll turn things over to Lieutenant Coyle from Upper Merion Police.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank Attorney General Sunday for the invitation to today's event. I'm the Detective Lieutenant for Upper Merion Township. Our department appreciates the assistance and resources that you and your office have provided to help further our investigations. In Upper Merion, we've seen firsthand the negative impact that these organized retail theft groups pose to a community and its residents. When they run from store employees or jump into waiting vehicles and speed off, they put everyday shoppers and members of the public at undue risk or injury. Store employees in the past have been assaulted or injured while trying to apprehend some of these thieves. Upper Merion Township is home to the King of Prussia Mall. With over 450 stores, it's the second largest mall in the country, largest on the East Coast. With the size of this mall and its easy accessibility to numerous highways like Route 202, Route 422, the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and of course the Schuylkill Expressway, this makes it an attractive location for these organized retail theft groups. As such, this made a partnership with the Attorney General's Retail Crime Unit an easy decision for us. Our investigators partner with the Attorney General's office, as well as the other agencies here today, to tackle the members of the Fifth Street crew. As the AG mentioned earlier, this group targeted several high-end retail stores in the region, including several locations in King of Prussia. Thankfully, with the ability to share intelligence, resources, and manpower amongst the different law enforcement agencies of this unit, our department was able to successfully identify and arrest several of the suspects. Moving forward, our agency plans to continue our collaborative efforts with the investigators in our county, our region, our state, to make sure we find these thieves and bring them to justice. Thank you. Start with you.
Let me see. It is. Alex, it's you.
Okay. All right.
Save the best for last.
Yeah, thank you. My name's Alex Baloga, and I'm president and CEO of the Pennsylvania Food Merchants Association. We are a statewide trade association that advocates for a diverse membership of grocers, convenience stores, manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, retailers, and service providers across the food and beverage industries. This is really a critical issue to our membership. Somewhere in Pennsylvania, someone is going to one of our stores every day. So this is paramount to the safety of both the customers and the associates and the stores themselves. So it really hits all those angles. And this is really a crucial initiative that's been undertaken to the leadership of the Attorney General Sunday and our law enforcement partners. But it's been 560 days, almost exactly a year and a half, since Governor Shapiro signed Senate Bill 596, legislation sponsored by Senator Dave Argel, updating Pennsylvania's organized retail crime statute and forming a brand new organized retail crime task force within the Office of the State Attorney General. It's been 360 days since that task force came online and began the hard work of taking on criminal organizations operating throughout Pennsylvania and the country. And on behalf of PFMA and the food retailers across the state that we represent and beyond, we could not be more proud of the work that we've done together or more grateful of Attorney General Sunday and the agents working in the ORC office for their dedication and diligence in taking on this responsibility. For a long time, it felt like businesses were fighting a lone and losing battle against criminal organizations who were making a profession out of stealing everything from steak to infant formula with the sole intention of reselling it for profit online or through a fence. Increasingly brazen and prone to violence, these groups have been responsible for millions of dollars in product theft across Pennsylvania. They threaten the livelihoods of small mom-and-pop stores, subject hardworking store staff to violence and abuse, and put families at risk by disrupting this chain of custody for products like over-the-counter medicine and health aids. They exploit and manipulate people with mental health and substance abuse disorders into committing criminal acts, and for far too long took advantage of outdated laws that could not meet the level of sophistication and savvy with which these crimes were being committed. So we want to thank Senator Argel and all our allies in the legislature and across the state government, again, along with Attorney General Sunday, our law enforcement partners, Governor Shapiro, and others for helping us to get to this point in combating this issue. This event does not by any means signal a let-up of our efforts in going after these offenders and these criminal enterprises, but it's an appropriate time and a worthwhile opportunity to take a step back and assess the job that's been done so far and rededicate ourselves to the work that we have ahead. Our members stand with the Attorney General, his team, and law enforcement across the state and beyond who are committed to eradicating this form of criminal activity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So does anyone have any specific questions about this issue? Yes.
What types of ranges of punishments would the people who have been caught be facing, whether they be participants or the ringleaders?
Well, it depends on what they're charged with. I mean, they could be a corrupt organization. They could be charged, obviously, with regard to organized retail theft as a felony. I mean, depending upon how many counts they have, I mean, these people could potentially be looking at decades in prison, potentially decades in prison. Yep.
Some of the items that people are most likely to steal.
Do you want to talk about that? Do you want to, I don't know if you want specifics.
The Fish Street crew, which is the one that Philadelphia's involved in, was a lot of clothing, Snipe stores, Lululemon stores where clothing, obviously clothing that's worth a considerable amount of money, is grabbed and taken out of the stores. So there were a lot of stores involved in this. Mostly were clothing items.
Does this include any of the incidents where we've seen semi-trucks with food, like shrimp and things like that, that have been targeted?
I don't think it's food for this case, no, but I would have to look it up and talk to you. I don't know if every one you have and what you're talking about.
Alec, I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name. What he kind of touched on, exploiting people with substance abuse, mental health, why going after the person who's in the store isn't really going to get you anywhere if that person's being used by someone higher up the ladder.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of our goals, obviously, we have to punish bad actors. We have to hold people accountable. At the same time, we have to do that with an understanding that there are people that are being used by those higher individuals that are making tons of money off of this. And the people that are being used oftentimes are people that are struggling with severe addictions, people with struggling with different mental health issues, co-occurring diagnoses, all kinds of issues going on. And if we really want to stop this, and I know that all my partners here that are working on this together, we all recognize that if you want to stop the most serious actions, you have to go after the people that are organizing it, the people that are making money off of it, and the people that are exploiting those other individuals to use them to get this done.
Same realm of perpetrators, do you see juveniles also being recruited or used in this type of thing, or are most of the participants you've arrested been adults?
Well, I will say generally, juveniles certainly are part of this issue across the board. With regard to these specific cases, I would again defer. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Sure. The answer to your question, generally speaking, is yes, we are seeing juveniles on the lower level, committing the thefts that form the basis of these prosecutions. But what our goal is not to punish people, especially our young people who are being recruited by sophisticated criminals. Our goal, as it relates to this, is sometimes using the juveniles as witnesses against people higher up the ladder in the criminal organization. That's really our goal, not to punish young people for the thefts, but using them to cut the head off of the snake in these organizations, which is going after the top. So.
Who are these people at the top? Are they involved in other activities? Do they move narcotics? Do they move guns? And they've switched to this? What you can tell us about these folks?
I will tell you that the criminals at the top of these organizations have found organized retail theft to be a safer space in which to make their profits than drugs or gun trafficking. It's more of a venial sin in their eyes, and that's why it's so important that we attack this with the robust effort that we've been attacking it with. So.
Safer because, you know, a fellow drug dealer is not going to shoot at them. They're unlikely to be approached in the stores. How is it safer?
I think the reason that it's safer is because there's more violence associated with drugs and guns than it is as it relates to retail theft. Having said that, we are focused almost unilaterally on prioritizing cases, organized retail theft cases in which violence is deployed. So even though it may be violent in other genres of crime, we are focused singularly on prioritizing these groups that use violence to achieve their ends.
So violence in the stores, or violence as they swarm, or violence? When is the violence deployed?
People who work in these stores are constantly getting hurt by these groups. And the reason that we are focused on violence is that we have these innocent people who are just trying to get through their 9-to-5 jobs, and they find themselves being attacked. And the quickest way that we can remediate that situation is by cutting off the head of the snake, as I indicated, and getting these groups that are emphasizing violence to meet their ends. One thing that we have learned over the past year, and that has come to our attention, is there are many foreign actors that are engaged in this activity. Many of our cases involve heads of organizations that are foreign actors, and we're also seeing stolen items being sent overseas. So that's something that we continue to work on, and we are making progress in that realm.
Where are foreign actors based? What part of the world?
We see, without getting too much into the details of our cases, we have seen Chinese foreign actors, we've seen our neighbors to the north, our neighbors to the south, we've seen foreign actors in Africa, but I don't want to get too much into the details of our cases, but we're essentially seeing foreign actors, on all 7 continents so far.
Effort to crack down on the secondary retailers who are selling some of these goods that are suspected to be stolen? We have a lot of those stores in Philadelphia where you don't know where the items came from. Is there any effort to focus on those stores? I mean, our almost entire focus is to break down the fencing operations, and the fencing operations are the ones where, someone steals the good, they end up at a pawn shop. What we're seeing more and more is the fencing operations are happening on online marketplaces. So those are really our focus right now in terms of busting up these fencing operations. Our pawn shops, our online marketplaces, we're seeing a lot of the goods end up there, in addition to overseas.
Large-scale operations mentioned. How do the incident rates compare out here on the Montgomery County suburb versus the city of Philadelphia?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
The Fifth Street crew and other larger scale operations that you mentioned, how do the incident rates of the large scale retail theft compare out here in the suburbs versus the city? Like, is it more or less?
Well, I mean, we have 1.5 million people plus a whole lot of people to pass through every day, so we probably have more incidents that occur in Philadelphia. So, You know, the one-offs, we're trying to handle them as we go, but as we see patterns, as we see prolific offenders, and that's what this group does, we make sure we communicate that amongst the retailers, amongst the prosecutors, and amongst ourselves, so we can put the cases together and get a warrant and make sure that there's consequences. Just like the Attorney General said, if there's not consequences, it's never going to stop.
Are there two groups, Fifth Street Crew and Philly Flowers? Or,
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. All right.
We talk to you for a minute? Would you come back?
Yeah.
So are you seeing a fall off in retail theft in your stores?
Overall, yeah, I think we are seeing that. I mean, we're definitely seeing the numbers from the Attorney General and across the board. We're hearing, I would say we're hearing a lot more confidence from our members that things are, in action, that things are happening, that there's action being taken. We don't have hard numbers at this point because those things are done nationally, but we anticipate that, like you'll see with anything, when the enforcement ramps up, you're going to see more offenses initially, right? And then as the crime drops off, as those people are held accountable. So I think that's what we're starting to see now that this has been in place for a year. So I would anticipate that happens, but we don't have the raw numbers at this point.
Have your members increased security? Has it cost them more to put more people in the stores just to try to head this off?
They've been increasing security year after year. It's extremely expensive, yes, for sure. This has been a problem for years and has existed for a long time. And across the country, I think last year or the year before, I think it was a $100 billion problem, something in that range. So it's a massive issue. So they've definitely been increasing their security overall year after year.
Do you tell your security people not to confront folks who are stealing from you? Not to try to tackle them, not to try to... Do you do that?
The stores each have their own policy of how they deal with security, how they deal with training staff, but I'm not aware of anybody that tells their staff to go after a suspect, right, to chase someone or to put themselves in harm's way. In fact, it's the complete opposite.
Security people in your store are not armed. They don't carry weapons or do that.
I don't know about every single store, but across the Commonwealth, but I'm not aware of anybody that's armed.
Quick, so you mentioned Act 42, Senator Argle's legislation. One of the common arguments against increased grading for crimes is that it doesn't have an effect and it just punishes people unnecessarily. As the state's top prosecutor, is there any validity to that, or is this an example of that increased grading working?
This is an example of where that works. I understand, I mean, as a former district attorney, and I served on the Sentencing Commission for many years, I understand how important it is that we in law enforcement are thoughtful about the way we approach accountability. And there's a lot of people in different circumstances whose cases require diversion. There are people whose cases require mental health treatment or substance abuse treatment. And at the same time, there are people whose cases require them to be prosecuted and incarcerated based on their actions. And this is an example where I believe that that is the case, especially with individuals that are taking advantage of people that we discussed earlier and using them, putting them in harm's way even, to steal things so that they can enrich themselves. So that's my answer on that. And thank you everyone for coming out. Thank you for covering it. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, cool, refreshing day. All right, awesome.